Here we are with Substation Design Suite, and I'm going to have a short talk on Inventor template creation. I have had a number of users not making templates or not making them the best as what they could be. So as we know with using Substation Design Suite, what we have in our settings, in our general application settings, we must identify part templates. And what we want to do with the part templates and the assembly template, what we want to do with them is make sure that we have a consistency throughout everything we do. And we need to have them set. So let's go in and look at making a part template. So I'm going to close my file and I am going to browse, open, and I'm going to browse to my templates. And in my case, I've made folders, and you can see lots of folders in my templates. Inventor handles folders, Vault handles folders, and make folders for your templates. As you can see, I have my out-of-the-box templates, and that's what you'll be using. You'll be taking an out-of-the-box template and creating what you need for a Substation Designer template. So let's go into the out-of-the-box template, and I'm going to first start with a standard IPT. So let's open up the standard IPT template. And here we are. So we know, first of all, when we look at the UCS, we want Z vertical up. So let's get the Z vertical up. And if we look at our right side and rotate it once, there's Z vertical up. And this should be our front. If you look at it, you can see it, how we want the UCS. So let's get the UCS where we want it. So let's change that to front. So by picking our side view here, we can change that set current view as front. So now when I go to front, I'm like that. Now what I want to do is set a new home. I want my home to be in this UCS setup. So I'm going to set current view to home, fit to view. All right, so now I can save that. I've done two changes, so I'm going to save it as, and I'm going to save it as, I would create a folder called SD Templates and save it in that folder. Now, if you're in Vault, you would end up moving it to your vaulted template work area. But for now, for this example, I'm just going to save it on top here. So let's call it SDS Template. All right, and we'll save it there. Now that we've got our UCS changed and such as that, we want to look at the tools, and we want to go into the document settings. Now, typical lighting style, for some reason I'm on a gray room with something I was doing earlier, but 2 lights is a decent setting. The rest we can look at just as it defaults. Units, we want inch. Precision, 3 decimal places is lots for substations generally. I like display as an expression. This will say the D2 equals a parameter. So I can see this, the entire expression of the parameters. I can go to sketch. Here I'm not going to change anything. I'll leave it as the default in the sketching. Modeling. I don't want advanced feature validation. That can slow it down if you're doing lofts and other things. For performance-wise, I would turn that off. That can be up to your discretion. Coordinate systems, I won't change anything in here. I'll take it as it is. You could change the default plane to a different one, but if you follow the substation modeling strategy, you know the XY plane is top of concrete. So I like that. So we're going to take the rest in here. Bills of material, we're going to leave it as it is. we want this for every part, but if you want to make a separate template for things in linear foot, you may want to tweak this around as well. And default tolerance, we'll leave it as is. So we apply that and close. So really, that's all we need to do to make a part template. Now to make a assembly template, we would just do a very similar thing. We can open up. We'll go into our out-of-the-box group. I have an out-of-box folder. You may not have that, but we want the standard IAM. So let's open up the standard IAM. So again, you can see our UCS is not in the position where we'd want it. So what we want to do is go to the right view and rotate it. And that's basically what we want as front. So we hit our little button here, and we're going to set current view as front. And we're going to take this corner, and we're going to set this as current view as home, fit to view. And we're going to save that as, file, save it as, and we're going to call that SDS template and save. So we've saved those two items, and now let's again, we'll go up into our tools and look at the document settings. I'm not going to change anything here. I wanted an inch. I like the expression as what we talked about before. Sketch, I'm going to take as default. Modeling, we can turn that off again. It's a performance issue. If you want to leave it on, you can leave it on. Again, I'm going to take it as a default. Here, many times if you follow the substation modeling strategy, your assemblies will be phantoms. So you could change it to phantom, but I'm thinking I'd leave it as normal until I was sure that it would be phantom or normal. So I would leave it as it is. So really, it's not much to change on these to make it the way you want it to be. And then I would save it. One thing we should note too with both the templates, the part in the assembly template, we can add some I parameters in here, I properties. So if we're going to put I properties in here, we may want to put company name in here, whatever your company name is in here, and then you have your name on every part that you make. And you would do that for both the assembly and the part. You may want to add some other information in here as well. I would take out anything that has your author or designer in there. Leave it blank so that you always identify if it was blank or not, written by someone else. You could add custom I properties here, but the thing is, STS will add custom I properties for you, so it's kind of questionable why you would add it here. And I would leave it as that. But mainly what I would do is put the company name in here and close. So that's just making those two templates. If I was going to make my drawing template, that's a little bit different, a little bit more going on with the drawings. So we always make our Inventor template out of a DWG for drawings. The DWG can be opened in many different softwares, and you would make it out of a DWG. I would not use the IDW. And here we have our DWG. What we can do in here, again, we can go into Tools, and go in Document Settings, and we can change our default standard. So one of the things you'll want to do is create your own standard for your drawings. And that's quite a task to do, and it's something that you would be working on for years. You'd always be tweaking it, changing it as standards change. Believe it or not, standards do change. You come into Sketch. There's not much we'll add to Sketch. Drawing, there's not a great deal in here either. You could do some things for setting up properties copied from your parts in assemblies into your title blocks. Your sheet, I tend to turn my sheet to be a white sheet. I like a white sheet, but others still like that horrible yellow. So that's all you really need to do for a drawing template. But what you need to go further, and what I was insinuating before, is that if you go into the styles editor, what you should be doing is creating your own styles. You would come into here and go to new and create a new style called whatever your company's name or whatever company you have. You can export the style. So if you have people working for your company, contractors or engineering firms, you may want to copy your standard out to them so they're using the exact same standard you are. Your drawings will all look the same that way. And in here, this is where we can get into how we have default scaling. You can get into your view preferences, and it goes on. There is so much in here, it's enormous. You can look at your parts list, customize your parts list, and do things like that. So this is where you want to get into, is creating a style. So if we look at one of the ones I have, if I look in this default one, let's create this one, see what I have in here. And let's go into styles. Now the style isn't necessarily in the file I have, but it lays on top of it. But let's look at this. So there's this. If I look at my scaling, you can see how I've customized my scale. I got the quarter, the half, the 1-to-1. But you know, in substations, what we want is the architectural type of scaling, and I want them all in here. And then when I create a view, I have this as an option to pick in, and it's going to be accurate. Again, you got your view styles, object defaults. Object defaults is where you don't want to change your dimensioning. Most of your dimension is going to be architectural, and you're going to want to change that to architectural. So if you look at this, this is all called Substation Design Architectural. You will have a different name as your company would want to use. So those are your 3 basic templates that you'll want to create. If you want to go further and you look at what I have for templates in here, I have the templates. These are my bare bone templates. I have a cable loop tool, I have a site skeleton template, and this is where I build from. But I go further than that. If I have to make a bunch of pieces and I want all my parts to look identical from whoever's going to be making them, they're going to be using the same type of thing and looking the same type of thing. I got a polygon shape here. See, it's tapered. So everyone who needs a polygon shape uses this. It's all going to look the same. I also have my my insulator generator. This guy here, I can make any type of insulator from that. It's all parametric driven. So anytime I need to make one special case, I can run off and make it quickly. I have some structural shapes in here. So when I'm building something and I'm not using Inventor's frame generator, again, if I'm not using Inventor's frame generator, I will use my own shapes and create those shapes and put them in there. And then when I have a beam, it's always the same. So again, make folders, keep your out-of-the-box versions, create a folder for out-of-the-box and put the ones that come in with Inventor in here. Create your own folder for your substation design ones that you're going to use. You may want to even have different names. If you're working with customers, you may want to have different ones like that. If I come into my customers ones, I have several customers in here. So it's just that type of thing that we want to be able to create templates. So that's 3 basic templates plus styles that you will need. And then once you have your templates made, you can come into Substation Design and make sure your application settings have templates in here. Without those templates, it's hard to work the software.